The midnight bus. It was a cold, rainy evening when Emma missed the last train home. The city streets were nearly empty, save for the occasional car splashing through puddles. She stood at the station, her phone's battery dead, wondering how she would make it back. Then she saw it, a bus. But this wasn't an ordinary bus. It was sleek, black, with no visible route number. The only thing that stood out was the sign above the windshield, Midnight Bus. Strange, she thought, but she was tired and desperate. As the doors opened with a low hiss, the driver, an elderly man with piercing blue eyes, smiled warmly. "Where to, miss?" he asked in a deep, gravelly voice. "Just the main road near Westwood," she replied, stepping inside. The interior was dimly lit, and the seats were almost all empty, except for a few passengers sitting in silence, their faces hidden in shadow. Emma felt a chill, but she shrugged it off. She found a seat near the middle, close to the window, and stared out as the bus pulled away. As they drove through the city, things seemed odd. The streets didn't look familiar, despite Emma living in the area for years. The buildings looked older, almost as if they belonged to a different time. She tried to catch the driver's eye in the rearview mirror, but he was focused on the road, expressionless. The minutes ticked by, and with each passing second, her unease grew. She noticed the other passengers had barely moved since she got on, their heads bowed, faces obscured. One woman, wearing a red scarf, stared straight ahead, unblinking. The bus stopped suddenly, and Emma saw a figure standing at the curb. He was drenched from the rain, wearing a dark coat and hat. The door opened, and the man stepped inside. As he passed by Emma, she felt a cold gust of air, colder than the rain outside. He sat in the back, and that's when she realized something chilling. None of the passengers had moved, not even an inch. Her heart raced. Something wasn't right. Emma leaned forward and whispered to the woman in the red scarf, "Do you know where this bus is going?" The woman slowly turned her head, her eyes wide and hollow. "No one ever gets off," she whispered back. Emma's stomach dropped. What did that mean? She decided she needed to get off, now star. But as she stood up, the bus lurched forward again, faster this time. The lights outside flickered as the city seemed to blur past them. She rushed to the driver. "Excuse me," she said, trying to stay calm, "can you let me off here?" The driver didn't respond. His hands gripped the wheel tightly, his gaze fixed on the road ahead. She knocked on the glass separating him from the passengers, but he acted as though she wasn't there. Panic started to set in. Suddenly, the bus entered a dark tunnel, and the world outside vanished. Emma could hear the engine humming louder, echoing through the narrow space. It felt like they were descending, going deeper and deeper underground. The passengers remained eerily still, the man in the back staring straight at her now, his eyes glowing faintly in the darkness. Emma's breath quickened, and she bolted toward the exit door. She yanked at the handle, but it wouldn't budge. The tunnel seemed endless. And then, without warning, the bus emerged from the darkness into a place that didn't seem like the city at all. The sky was pitch black, and the streets were lined with strange, crumbling buildings, the kind you'd see in old, abandoned towns. There were no streetlights, no signs of life. Emma's heart pounded in her chest. She had to escape. She ran back to her seat, frantically searching for something to break the window. As she rummaged through her bag, the bus stopped again, the doors opened with a loud hiss, and the passengers, one by one, began to stand. Slowly, they shuffled toward the exit, their movements stiff and unnatural. The woman in the red scarf was the last to leave. She glanced back at Emma and whispered, "You should have stayed off."